Okay, welcome to this kind of impromptu upload. Those of you who may follow the Twitch streamer Level may already be familiar with this, but this is me playing through Castlevania as part of the 2025 October Castlevania Challenge, where we try to play a whole bunch of Castlevania games and see how far we can get through without dying or using a continue. Look out, there will be thrills, there will be chills, there will be spills, there will probably be cat noises in the background like you just heard while I give my commentary on this. This run was pre-recorded. As you can probably guess from the background, this is in fact off of the Castlevania collection on Steam. It was just the easiest way for me to record it on my laptop. Now, I love these games. They're great. I haven't played them in, like, the better part of 2 decades, though, believe it or not. Those of you who are sort of familiar with my upload history are probably very aware that a lot of the early stuff I did with my YouTube channel is stuff, just covering the music of this on the Sega Genesis. Partly because, prove I can, partly because I like the sound, because I like the music and all that good stuff, but... these are fun games, and this is, I think, actually my first time playing through Castlevania for this challenge without save states. Like, this was not my first run of the day or anything, far from it. What I had been doing was practicing a little bit. I did some practicing on a Retroid Pocket 5. I did practicing on an actual NES copy I recently picked up. And, of course, before this, I had recorded a few runs through the game that didn't pan out quite this well. But yeah, this is the first level. I'm going for the Holy Water, because I'm going to want to hold on to it for most of the game. As you can see, the zombies in this level fall to it very easily. You can get, like, 2 or 3 down at a time, and that gets you, like, 1 or 2,000 extra point bonuses. Take my first hit to a bat bear. They're kind of aggressive here. They show up a lot. They don't do a lot of damage. Nothing does. Everything does 2 damage, but they do get in the way, and as you're about to go down the stairs, it's like one of the worst times to face them. In general, there's not a whole lot I've found in this level to be very difficult. I've played this level, if not necessarily through this game, then through the other games that kind of re-implement this level. Castlevania Chronicles, for example, Rondo of Blood, Bloodlines. I've played all of them a lot more recently than I have this here. Chronicles I've played a few times. I've tried to play on PS1. I never really get very far. And then Rondo of Blood I've played a few times since picking up a Mister. I enjoy that game a lot, and technically I have a no continue save on that, because anytime I'd get a game over, I'd just reset and start over. Certainly not Deathless actually do get the game over screen basically every level, but it does mean that, if that was the way you could count it, then in this game, at least on the original Famicom Disk System version, you could reset after a game over, and that I believe counts in the same way as not continuing, but you sort of get to pick up the start of each block. Very easy boss. You kind of have to manipulate him to get into the corner, otherwise he can be a bit of a pain, but he goes down quickly. The Holy Water hits him directly, and it's very simple. There's not a whole lot to be said about this first stage, I feel like. It's just you get through it, then there's a boss. The biggest challenge is hitting enough stuff with the Holy Water to get the ×2 multiplier, and then, of course, finding the hidden one in that block right there. So yeah, stage 2 is where it starts getting a little tricky, because it doesn't take too long for you to get into the actual one-hit kill steps. First candle there is always a cross, don't pick it up. Little secret here, mostly haven't been getting the secrets because I just don't care that much, but, 30k points gets you an extra life. I really wasn't expecting to do this one deathless, and you'll kind of... I didn't expect the last level to treat me very well. It actually went better than I thought it would, but you'll see what happens. I won't spoil it for you exactly. Alright, this bit, it's mostly just me. I like, especially early in the level, before things get too hectic in any stage, to try to collect as many hearts as I can, because you start off with so few. I'm a little bit more used to the 16-bit games, like Rondo and Castlevania Bloodlines. They'll both let you keep your hearts between levels, but here that's not an advantage. They always tick down. You get the points, but the points aren't that useful. that cross the candles that I skipped there before the two that I did pick up. That one has knife. Again, you don't want to pick that up. And mostly I just avoid hitting anything there where the Medusa heads are, because as long as you're staying in the center of the screen, they won't hit you. Duck over the first one, kind of jump over the second one. You don't want to get hit by that one because it'll almost always knock you into the pit, and then you kind of want to get hit by a third one at the top of the jump to just skip that section. You take a little bit of damage, but it is not a big deal because there is meat right here. And if you've gotten past that part, there is still one last tricky bit here, which is, of course, these. If you've been watching .level on Twitch, you've probably seen a tutorial for all of this. For the first and third one, you want to wait until it's gone up like about 3 times in order to get that. You know, this is sort of like, you know, someone copying a Bob Ross painting, I feel like. You know, it's good to understand the techniques, but obviously it's not going to be anywhere near as good as the original. And even then, Bob Ross had a copy of whatever he wanted to draw off to the side on his video, so he knew more or less what he wanted to do, and then could improvise a little bit. And, you know, just a little fun Bob Ross fact for you there. I do want to say I'm a little sorry that the footage here is going to be in 30 FPS. I'm capturing this off of a laptop with not really a graphics card to speak of. It's the very basic Intel integrated graphics, and I'm using the Windows 11 default, like, kind of game bar video capture for this. It is nothing terribly fancy. And there's probably a setting somewhere that will allow it to capture at 60 frames per second, but I figure the two things are, it's simple, I can just get this out of the way, and not have to worry too much about any configurations. Same reason I didn't stream this anywhere. And in addition to all of that, you know, it's just, it's easier to deal with flashing and stuff. That's what I wanted to say. All right, stage 2. First 2 stages, not too hard. Stage 3 is really where it starts getting a lot trickier. A lot of pits, a lot of things that are going to knock you into pits, and of course the relatively irritating fleamen, but there is a trick to dealing with them. Don't whip until they move. If you whip while they're on screen, they will, like, beeline right for you. If you just walk toward them, they will try to jump over you, and you can get them when they land. And that guy has a tendency to jump into your whip if you're aggressive. Those bone-throwing skeletons will kind of try to zone you out. So the easiest way to deal with them, if you have, especially if you've got like any sort of height advantage over them, is to throw out the holy water and step a little bit back, because they will start moving in your direction and they'll hit the flames. Crows, they do kind of tend to fly toward you. You kind of want to use your whip to hit at them as they get close. I got a very lucky bird pattern here, honestly, I would say. And this next room, it looks like it has enemies. It doesn't have any enemies. You stay here, you get the first couple of candles, maybe, and then you just hold up and right, and there are no enemies in this room. It looks like there are enemies, but there are no enemies in this room. You just hold up and right, and nothing will happen to you. Look at that. We're going up the stairs. Everything's very simple. Nothing hit us. There were no enemies in that room. Now, if you don't hold up and right the whole time, I can't guarantee that, but again, it's the same thing like in the previous level. If you stay in the center of the screen, you'll be poised right where the dip of the Medusa heads are, and if you don't jump, then there's no variation of their movement at all. Okay, I probably should have waited on that one, whip the first one, and then jump over the second one, but it's a little tricky to scroll it in on screen. And that bone column, yeah. Those are the real scary enemies here. I screw up in this next section a few times because I'm trying to hit them with the holy water when I should be whipping at least their first projectile, if not both. And you can see that happening right here. I used the holy water when I should have whipped. I've been blessed with some invincibility, but I'm not going to be quite so lucky, and I take a number of hits here as a result of that. I keep getting hit by the first one because the holy water doesn't actually come into contact with it. Fortunately, the second holy water does come in contact with the bone columns, and that does some extra damage, about the equivalent of 2 whip hits. They take 6 whip hits total. This is a little tricky because it's very easy to get hit by the Medusa heads here, but if you time things right, as you can see like that, it's fine. Once you get to the boss, there's nothing really to worry about. You just gotta load them in and then get to the high ground and toss holy water. Holy water stuns lock basically every boss. And there's not really a whole lot they can do. It piles on damage really quickly when you have the multiplier, and it basically means there's always at least one active. It's not as big of a deal with this boss. There are some other ways to deal with it, but it's the next stage where that's really, really essential. And in the next two stages, basically the real final boss isn't any enemy, isn't any pit. It is just literally touching a sub-weapon that isn't the frickin' holy water, because you really, really want the holy water against those bosses, and it does not show up very often. This area here, there's usually a bat that spawns there. You can jump up to get consistent timing with all of that, recommended by dot level, but here I just hightail it because you do not want to have to deal with a bat showing up on the platforms, and if you get out of there as quickly as possible, then it will not spawn until around here. That candle that dropped the money is, I believe, the one that has the holy water in the event that you've died and come back here. I think it's the only holy water in the level, so be careful with that. And, you know, with the fishman, drop onto the platform. This area is known for killing a lot of early, inexperienced players' runs. I know it's been like 2 decades since I've last played this, but between watching a bunch of runs and getting in a lot of practice on here, I didn't have a ton of trouble with it, because on the first run, at least, they do not tend to spawn the fishmen right on top of you. On second loops and further, they have a tendency to do that, but I didn't really care to do the second loop at all. I think there are some people who are for the challenge doing the loop, and I should note, I will put the link to the site about that in the description. You know, famous YouTube proverb, check the video description. Here, this really is just timing, and you walk under the first bone column. Those fleamen can be very nasty if you let them pile up, but if you whip them when they're getting close to the ground, they'll just hit your whip and immediately die. Second bone column, much easier to deal with using the holy water. It goes down pretty quickly. Third one's a little less nice because you can't hit it with the whip as easily to get in the extra hits. But again, it really is the very last challenge here, because again, triple holy water, boss becomes irrelevant. And it's the second calendar in this section, this sort of aqueduct-looking area, where the knife is. It's potentially very useful to pick up if you haven't been, like if you've died here and you need a sub-weapon, then you can stay in the corner and with the hit the creature with that. But I don't recommend it. If you've got the holy water, you should avoid that one at all costs. And in fact, what was killing my early runs of this game, my sort of practicey stuff on like Retroid and on NES, was just me whipping too many of the damn candles and always picking up the sub-weapons that I didn't want. So again, that's why I like to get all of the candles early on, because there are fewer really intense enemies that are gonna take your focus away from, you know, trying to collect stuff. And there's not going to be as many random drops, and you're also going to want the sub-weapon stuff earlier so that if you do need to use it, you'll have it. Again, we want to kind of zone out the skeletons, hit them close. I'm trying to get the holy water to land on top, but he's just a little bit too erratic here. You know, it's very, very hard to get out of here without taking a hit or two. It's actually one of the harder sections of this stage, especially if you were to come back and die. I think the candle right before that money bag is the one where the holy water is, if you were going to follow along. Again, we're only keeping the holy water, at least until the Bat Bridge. Yeah, once again, you just kind of zone out. These guys want to stay away from you. So that's the easiest way to do that, is to just try to get in their face, throw holy water at them if they're not moving around too much, and if it's a little bit in front of them, you throw the water then, and then walk back, and if they're a little farther away, you throw the holy water and then try to get up close to them. It's a little weird. You actually do the same thing with the axe armors because they zone you in the same way. And with like the flea men, for example, you just kind of, you throw the holy water and then get close because they're going to try to run into you. And then they'll just hit the water. And you saw the 1-up. I believe it's the only hidden 1-up in the game. You just kind of walk into that wall and then it shows up. Nothing too surprising, but yeah, it's I don't know who would have ever discovered that back in the day, unless some guide somewhere actually managed to print it. Alright, the first axe armors of the game, along with an annoying flea man. Once again, you just kind of want to zone them, throw the water, and if it's in front of them, then you move backward a little bit. This next guy is a little harder to hit, because if you try to press the sub-weapon ready button, like holding up, before you jump, you'll just go up on the stairs. And that's very silly and a little annoying, and I do it just so many freaking times. But now he's down. Don't get that candle has an axe. And next section, it's like, honestly, once you've gotten used to what this level is like, it really is one of the simpler spots, because while things can be mean, they are some of the most predictable in the entire game. Like, nothing comes at you as a surprise. Everything wants to stay very specific distances or moves at very specific rates, and of course, you know, you just stand back from the axe armors. Their projectiles won't hit you and they'll run into the holy water. And yeah, a little quiet here because I don't know that there's a whole lot to say in this section. Because again, once you've gotten used to it, and if you're advantaged enough to come in with the holy water, then there really isn't a whole lot it can do to you. Like, I always say that the flea man section is harder because if things go wrong, it's much harder to recover. Here, it's much, like, if you can get through that, you can get to yourself to a point where everything here is pretty darn consistent. And we're back. More bone columns. I handle them a little better this time. It's not great, as you can see here. I'm still taking damage. And yeah, stopwatch is bad here. Don't get the stopwatch. Most of the sub-weapons are not great. Like, I don't know to what degree Ghosts and Goblins was it an active inspiration for these guys. Like, it's probably the game it's most like out of stuff that had come before. But yeah, Ghosts and Goblins, you get the shield, and in the later levels, you do not want to get rid of it because it prevents you from beating the game. Same thing here with the holy water. So yeah. We're actually at full health because that section is not hard, and this one is a little bit. Once again, the Medusa heads are predictable, and a little bit of jumping, a little bit of range with the holy water, and it's not too bad. There are the 2 axe armors, and dear God, did you get freaked out as much by that I very nearly touched that dagger as I did, because holy crap, I was freaking out right after that. That was terrifying, absolute scariest moment of the entire run. Because, again, I did not think that I was going to be able to do this in one life, and one clear, or, you know, one continue, or anything like that. That was, like, if you have the holy water, then death can't do anything. He is irrelevant. If you don't have the holy water, death is almost certainly going to kill you multiple times, and you just wait to get your continue, take the holy water, and try to get back up there. Like, a lot of people who are doing the deathless runs, if they don't get the holy water against death, they just reset, and it's very hard for me to beat them. Bat Bridge. It's a bridge. It has bats. They're the bat bosses from stage 1. They take about as much damage. The bridge does not crumble, but it's the original. What more can you ask? It's at least a 6 out of 10 Bat Bridge. And yes, you do want the clock sub-weapon, stop time, because it's very consistent. I expected the bat to go up a little higher and hit me there. I am very surprised he didn't. I've already taken 2 hits. You get 4 at this stage. Yeah, the other big thing is they spawn you really close to the edge there. You want to step back to get the skeleton to come at you, and then you can get him in whipping range. Same thing with the 2 in the upper level. Like, this is The bats are definitely the hardest part of the run. The bats can make a otherwise perfect run go very sour very quickly. They are very likely to knock you off the bridge if they do anything predictable, but I got pretty much the ideal pattern there. I just didn't take advantage of it properly. As a dagger there, don't hit it, but you do kind of want to stop time there. I believe that the wall there is where the meat is. I could have taken that, healed up a little bit, but you'll see in a moment it didn't really matter. I failed to get the stopwatch off because I think I was still on the stairs when I did that. I used an extra use because it doesn't really matter. I can get more hearts in a second by just going up and down the bridge, leading up to Dracula. By the way, diagonal inputs in this game are a little inconsistent, especially for pushing down. Like, if you're pushing up and right, it's usually going to be fine. It'll register you as trying to go up the stairs. But down and left doesn't work quite so well. So now we're collecting the hearts, whipping candles with, well, not whipping candles, hitting candles with the subweapon to get the multiplier. And then we're falling down the bridge. And I'm going to tell you right now, that's not the last time this happens. Yeah, so I am so used to the newer games where that doesn't happen. Like, I will say, I am very glad that I have been, you know, no longer have to deal with the stress of getting a deathless run at this point. But the correct option, I think, is to just stand on the last tile, press up or press down, depending on which side of the screen you're on. Like, if you're going down, just press down. You know, straightforward. As you remember with my inability to hit that one axe armor in the previous level right by the stairs, yeah, if you just press up and down, you'll go right on the stairs. So you don't have to make the same mistake I did. But yeah, it's a little bit of a grind here, because we want to get a lot of the hearts to face Dracula with. We have plenty of time. I am not remotely concerned about things like score. I just kind of want to get this done, and I want to get a bunch of hearts so I can spam Holy Water on the second form and stun lock him there. That also doesn't go quite according to plan. I kind of screw up the button pressing on that a little bit. But we're pretty much at the end of the game now. And I tell you what, again, another thing that the newer games really spoil you on is a more predictable drag pattern. I'm not the only one who's been playing this and come in with this circumstance, but he really likes to just teleport right on top of you. He will do that every time, and like seemingly every time. And there's not a whole lot you can do with it because there's not a ton of time to react. Some people I've seen have actually done, like, pause buffering, and while it might make the pattern a little bit less easy to predict initially, you get a lot more reaction time in doing it. I didn't do it here because I just kind of wanted to get it over with at this point. I still figured, even with a few deaths, I'm coming in here with, like, 5 lives already, 5-6 lives, so I can afford to screw up a couple of runs with him. And, yeah, so he is really tough to hit. Again, you only get 4 hits. Everything does 4 pips of damage to you. And then the one other thing is to be very careful counting how you hit the candles with the subweapon. Because you want to hit either 8 or 9 things with the subweapon before you get into the arena. Then you want to stand between the leftmost and second leftmost candle, throw the cross, and then let it just go across the screen. Once it's hit enough candles that you see the second subweapon drop, or the subweapon multiplier drop, and I screw it up a little bit here, but I hit the candles enough times, you get the subweapon and then pick up the multiplier. Because it'll work as long as you've already got a subweapon attached. If you don't have a subweapon picked up, then it won't matter. And so yeah, this is Dracula. Timing's a little tough with him sometimes. If you're a little slow, if you're a little early, he does that with the fireballs, just kind of slams them at you. If you are a little slow, he has a tendency to just already be disappeared and not take a hit. You can kind of tell when you have hit him because there's that little red kind of fiery flash thing that happens by his head. The sound's a little different too, I think. My best recommendation is to stand about like 5 or 6 blocks away from him. And if you can hit him when if you can jump when he opens up his cloak and then hit him near the top of your jump, that should get him. It's not terribly difficult. If you've been able to jump and whip stuff before, you should get the timing down for the hit. But yeah, the jump is a little bit trickier, and there you see he's spawning on top of me again. Very, very fun to deal with all of that, I know. And that's me accidentally hitting the menu button there. It's on the left trigger, and at this point I was also very jumpy. I was very jumpy in this moment, because that had happened with the last couple of runs, nearly avoiding that dagger and actually managing to get all this way up until this point without taking a hit. As you can see, I took enough hits on Dracula that there was no way I was going to get deathless on this run. So I really did not feel bad about it at all. Yeah, we're just kind of making sure we get enough sub-weapon ammo to last us through the second phase of the fight. And that's about it. It really is a bit of a grind. Yeah, I don't know that I have a ton to say still here. I should probably fill time somehow. Yeah, so if you go to the website, you'll see the little stamp cards. If you want to see people who have actually done really good runs of this game, look for the ones who have the gold stamps with the little creature who looks like the kind of Cookie Monster, yippee flea man alien guy. And like if you click on the button, it'll actually, like the little stamp, it will actually show you to the link to some kind of VOD of the run, either on Twitch or on YouTube. And the gold stamps mean that someone got through the game deathless. It is definitely something to check out. Dot Level also did a tutorial that presents all of this a lot better than I did. You know, I'm okay at this game, as you can see, but you can tell it's been 2 decades. I kind of struggle to find a lot of stuff to talk about. Really, the last time I thought about Castlevania was actually about a decade ago, like the original game here. Because that was when Jeremy Parish was putting out the start of his Anatomy of Games series, and I found that some pretty compelling writing about Castlevania. And here, you'll notice I have picked up the double sub-weapon. I was going to try to go for the triple here. You can get by with just the double, but I feel like always getting more uses of the sub-weapon is not a bad thing. And we've got like 40 here, so that's a lot. But there's never a guarantee with getting through the first phase either. So yeah, this is Dracula really at its most erratic. There is no indication of a teleport, and while I do think Castlevania 3's final boss is also pretty nasty, the third phase has big safe spots, and the first two, especially if you pick Sypha, her lightning attack does a lot of damage to him very quickly. It's easier to get that in the Japanese version than the US version, though. Not that counts for a whole lot, but this guy, yeah, like every other time, they let you see, right before he teleports in, where he's going to teleport with that big beam of light. And here, all bets are off. But yeah, Jeremy Parish's Anatomy of Castlevania. One of the better series, definitely something that I latched onto pretty easily. I started doing a blog for a little while on the Anatomy forums, basically, where I was trying to do the same thing level by level for Sonic 1. I got about halfway through. Stopped at Labyrinth 3 because I wanted to try to explain a little bit of what was going on with Labyrinth, some of the things that screw it up with how the game does interrupts, and I never really found a good way to explain it, at least at the time. I really should go back, so maybe that'll be something I do after this. But right now, I have a lot of free time because I'm American, I contract to the government, and we are on mandatory paid vacation because the government does not want to fund itself, apparently. Yeah, so as you can see, we're almost done here. He's got one more hit, and it's again, he's a little tricky to hit if you don't know where he's going to spawn in. Have a good idea. Got to react a little bit, and then you throw the holy water. You whip his head. It's a little involved, as you can see. I'm kind of missing the jumps for a few reasons, and that's screwing me up. it's not the end of the world if you miss a few, but that was a lot bigger problem. Because he's doing the jumps, and I faced the wrong direction throwing the holy water, and that definitely gets the hits on me that I did not expect to take. So, yeah, now he's dead, and that's Castlevania. I don't know, credit roll, man.